SDL Auctions.
Hello.
And he has kindly agreed to come on camera, even though he's very nervous.
How are you doing this?
Just to have a chat with us about sort of the property market and how things are going, sort of post-COVID, I suppose, post-COVID.
Yeah.
So me and you, when we were speaking the other day on the phone, I was asking you kind of, I've been reading lots of blogs and articles and getting loads of different opinions about property, and I've obviously been speaking to estate agents who are like, yeah, business as usual, everything's fantastic, you know, and of course it might be for them, but you guys are at the forefront of prices, aren't you? From list to complete is such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So you mentioned to me that your finger's kind of on the pulse when it comes to property.
Yeah, I think so. With auctions, it's just a bit of a quicker transaction. So people put the money where their mouth is immediately, essentially. So when you're speaking to an estate agent, at the minute everyone's really busy, which is great. The difficulty you have there is, even if an estate agent was to sell a property today, it's probably 3 months before they actually exchange contracts and complete, and who knows what's going to happen in those 3 months. So if you're making a decision based on, should I sell my property now or should I hold off, just going off what's happening on the open market isn't a fantastic gauge, because, as I say, it could be all rosy today, but in 2 months' time it might not be the case. Whereas with auction, people are there with the handbags and the wallets and the checkbooks to buy the properties there and then. So it's a much quicker reaction. And so it's just I always think auctions are just a little bit ahead of the market, as I say, because it's a more immediate transaction. And we've done well. We've done really well under lockdown. We've converted our traditional auctions to video link auctions, and we're doing them monthly. So all of our regional offices, which would have their own in-room auctions at various football and cricket stadiums, they're now done via video link once a month, and we basically put all the properties into one virtual catalogue every month, and we've done really well, genuinely really well. So I think during the official lockdown period, which was the 23rd of March up until when I last checked the figures, the last day of May, we'd raised £32 million worth of property. I think that's about 250 properties. So that's, for me, in that very difficult market, especially during the proper lockdown when people literally couldn't leave the house.
Yeah.
We had an auction there, and I can't remember the exact figures, but we sold literally millions of pounds worth of properties in one afternoon when people literally couldn't get out of their living rooms, effectively.
So were people buying without viewing then?
Yeah, so you react, don't you? So there's a lot of tenanted properties that we sell, and obviously we don't want to be intruding, but we couldn't at that point anyway. But even now, when we can get out of it, we don't want to be disrupting people who are occupying the properties. So you just sort of adapt, really. So we've asked tenants to do like a video tour on the phones, on their iPhones or smartphones, and we can send that to various interested parties. Now with the empty properties, we do virtual tours. We've got all the kit now to do like 3D tours and stuff. So yeah, we're genuinely well geared up for it. To be honest with you, auction, the buyers tend to be that little bit more experienced anyway.
Yeah.
So, and again, we're a big outfit selling to people all over the country. So whilst I'm here in the northwest, a lot of our buyers will be in London. Even when we could, not a lot of them would come up north to view the properties.
Yeah, to view the property.
They buy off the back of the yield, or, as I say, some internal photographs.
Like my business model, what I do is like property sourcing, and a lot of clients that I work for are either based out of the UK or based down in London, so they don't actually physically see the properties. Maybe they'll visit sort of once a year and do a round robin and check over the portfolio, but aside from that, as long as the numbers stack up and they've got confidence in video and evidence and stuff like that, it's okay.
And essentially the way an auction works is they should in theory be under market value, so you've got that buffer of comfort, if you like, because you're under market value anyway. So yeah,
if you're already selling like under market value properties at auction, so say it was worth 100 grand, you would hope to list it and maybe 80 grand. Have you noticed then, like post-COVID, are you going in at 60? Have you seen like a big 40%
no, the prices, I've honestly not seen a difference in the prices. Naturally, some people are a bit more nervous about selling, so some people have held off. Certainly in April, more people held back and then gave us the stock in May. But from a figure point of view, no, I valued some stuff in like December and January, which we only listed in April and May,
Yeah.
I didn't make any changes to the values, and obviously January was pre-COVID,
Yeah.
and they went on to sell where at the figures that I anticipated. So I've genuinely not seen a difference in the values being achieved. The numbers have been, well, there's probably lower instructions in April, but again in May. So we had an auction on last Thursday, and we sold 16.5 million pounds worth of property. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think we had 125 properties, and we sold 85%. So
you know, when you're listing so when you're viewing the property and you're listing, you're putting it in auction, do you always have like a favourite one where you think, oh, I would buy that one?
It's not usually a favourite because I want to live in it or I want to buy it, but just a favourite because I don't know, it might be a character who owns it, or there's just usually the history behind it that I like.
Yeah.
And it's always good to get I like the ones where the sellers have never sold before. They have that faith in you as a company, and you know it's going to do really well. They haven't got a clue because they've never done it before, but they trust you, which is lovely. And then it just goes and sells for way more than their expectations, and that's always a nice one. We had a farm which made the papers recently in Bake Up. That was a difficult case. I got the original phone call on that in December. With all sorts of problems attached to it. There was loads of allegations around the property and what was happening there. Big site, 80 acres, but in the middle of nowhere effectively, and you couldn't get to it. Even I couldn't get to see it, so we were selling it with a lot of grey areas. But that went on Thursday with a guide of 50,000 and sold for 394,000.
We thought that would do well. We were all sat there like, all my Instagram family sat there like, watching you live.
It's bizarre though, because even like just so many people watched that, even people who weren't interested in buying it. I've been on so many valuations and viewings miles away, and they've said, oh, that farm did well, or before, how's the farm looking and stuff. So that was a really good one, because we had it literally since December, and it took ages. It was going to be offered, I think, in February. It got postponed. So it took ages, but that was a really good result.
Does that happen often, where you put in a guide price of like 50,000 and it goes for like 300?
Yeah, so
it's like, oh, I'm interested in this property, but then when you watch the bidding, it's like, whoa, way out of my budget.
So that 50,000 wasn't like to be misleading. It was because there was loads of problems with the property, and you couldn't go and see it. So literally, you were buying it blind, and it's not. It's one thing spending 50 grand on it, but it's what it would cost if there was loads of black holes there and things you had to sort out. So that was genuinely there to reflect the fact that if you rang the office, we couldn't give you a great deal of information. It was just a massive lump of land and whatever else was on it, good or bad, and you've just got to sort of...
So it was a bit of a gamble, really, wasn't it? Yeah,
exactly. So, but yeah, the vendor was... She was in tears, she was delighted, really, really happy. So yeah, that was a good... And it's just good to be able to deliver them stories during lockdown, when everybody's circumstances have changed and everyone's struggling a little bit. Auction is a really nice, clean, successful way of selling property.
In terms of like the things that I've been reading and the things that I'm aware of, like mortgage holidays and things like that, I know Nationwide had sent out some like email to myself, because I got a mortgage with Nationwide, saying they weren't going to take any action on mortgage arrears for the next 12 months. Do you think that will have an impact on the properties that come into auction? So people who would normally be hit by recession and job losses are sort of getting a bit of grace with lenders. So
and it's right, isn't it? We don't want, for people's homes, it's good to see that the banks and the government are doing as much as they can to keep everybody stable. I think the reality is, at the minute, we don't really know what the rest of the year is going to look like. I think we're all in a bit of a frozen state because of the furlough scheme, for example. So I do think it's going to get harder before it gets better. That's my honest opinion. But I do think those, your mortgage holidays and like I say, the furlough scheme, we've never seen anything like that before, have we? And I think it's great. But I think the reality will be, when the scheme's lifted and the businesses have got to start paying the salaries again, that's when I think things will get a bit problematic.
I think, because for me, I remember the last recession and people lost jobs and there were mortgage arrears, so there were so many repossessions and auction properties kind of took off then. It wasn't something that I'd looked at prior to the last recession, but obviously people were in financial difficulty, which kind of meant maybe you'd have had 30 in an auction, you were then getting like 60, 70 lots in an auction. So I was wondering, with that, it kind of the marketplace, I don't think it'll move towards that way again, where we'll see a lot of repossessions and stuff sort of hit the auction.
No, I genuinely hope not. I hope people can keep hold of their properties. It's who knows? It's affecting literally everybody, and there is some comfort in that as well, because I think previously with the last recession, it didn't impact absolutely everybody. It was the sort of financial side, whereas here, whether it's finance or just lifestyle, everybody's affected. And I think there's a bit more of just a sort of national understanding, if that makes sense. So we're all, even when we all started working from home, us as a company, they're well set up for working from home. We could have worked from home for years, to be honest with you. So we were quite well equipped for it. But even then, you've got little teething problems like, I miss my printer, or the Wi-Fi's flickering, or whatever. And I just think people are just a little bit more patient, because they're at the other end of a Zoom call doing exactly the same thing with the same struggles. So we'll just have to see. But I think, as I say, from a business point of view, we're playing it auction by auction, and it's going from strength to strength.
So you haven't really had any sort of, I'd say they were motivated vendors, so motivated sellers, in terms of, COVID's here, quick, sell my house or auction.
No. There's been a lot of people coming out buying. That's been the big thing. I suppose what it has done is it's taken away the people who were umming and ahhing, whether that's a seller or a buyer. The good thing with an auction is you only do it if you're serious. So if you don't come to an auction if you want to see what the market's like. You don't come to an auction. You come to because you need to sell or you want to sell. Same as buying. So even just things like viewings. Literally, I did a when lockdown was lifted, I did a schedule of viewings one day, and I must have had like 40 different people down to view the properties. Obviously, all individually, so it's all socially distanced and stuff. But usually, if I've got 40 people to show around a few properties, maybe 25 would turn up. But literally, every single one of them turned up, and that to me sort of showed that the people who are out looking are serious. And as I say, the figures, those figures, and I'm not being all SDL here, but
he is. Woo! It's all right. You can champion for the place that you were.
No, but it's true. We did something like 85% in. So we've done. I don't know the exact figures now, but I think we did 75% in April and 85% in May. That is well above the national average, even if you take out the COVID situation. So to get them figures is genuinely very impressive.
Does that then indicate sort of a scarcity of properties that are coming to market then? Have you got the buyers sort of ready chomping at the bit, and the sellers are taking the time? Or?
It's a bit of a snowball effect, because we had 1,500 people watch that auction, and we had a lot of people registered to bid, literally well over 1,000 people registered to bid. But there's a lot of people who were watching it and who were genuinely impressed with it, and that then gives you your next lot of business, because they go, these guys can deliver. So we're dead optimistic, cautiously optimistic, let's say, because who knows what's around the corner. But from a Northwest point of view, our numbers are really good. We've had some genuinely really good public results, which is then the knock-on effect of that is we've had the phone ring with more clients looking to sell with us. So far, so good.
Well, I do work with Andy, of course, on a regular basis. I don't
know if I'm meant to look in that camera or not.
You can if you want. We're looking at you, because we're watching you. And I can say he's a really genuine guy who knows his stuff sort of inside and out. And I'm really pleased that things are going really well. I've had lots of reassurance from you in terms of the property market, whereas other people might be a bit concerned about buying and doing a flip project, or whether it's the right time to sell and stuff like that.
I think the figures are there, aren't they? They're not. These aren't subject to anything. These are literally on the 30th of May. We sold, I can't remember what, let's say 88 properties or something like that. They sold. They weren't under offer. That was literally exchange contracts. They all paid a deposit. So that is your proof in it. That is what the market's like that very day. And I always think, from a buyer's point of view, if the deal is a deal, then
it's a deal.
Why wait? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people wait for the lowest market, but actually you can make a lot more money throughout the year by actually pouncing on the deals as soon as it hits your model. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's model is different, but if you're if you're looking for a long-term investment, for example, and a 15% yield comes up, which is what you want, then
Yeah,
what you're
take
waiting
it.
for.
Yeah, what you're waiting for.
Yeah.
It's not going to be sat there again in another 6 months'
Exactly.
time, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Oh, thank you, Andy.
No worries.
I normally give him a love, but we can't,
Yeah,
like, you know.
2 metres.
Yeah, 2 metres, 2 metres. See you later, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.